Something is happening to the American housing market that mainstream headlines keep getting wrong. While everyone argues about whether a crash is coming, rent prices in dozens of cities have already quietly collapsed, some by 20, 30, even 40% from their pandemic peaks. If you've been waiting for the right moment to make a move, this might be the most important list you'll ever stumble across. Fact 1. Austin, Texas, once tipped as the next Silicon Valley, has seen average rent fall nearly 28% since its 2022 peak, with the median one-bedroom sliding from $1,800 to around $1,300. Developers simply built too much, and supply crushed demand. Fact 2. Phoenix, Arizona has the same glut problem, just bigger. Over 30,000 new apartment units landed in the metro between 2023 and 2025 alone, more new supply than the city had absorbed in any single two-year window in decades. And landlords are now dangling 1 to 2 months free rent just to get someone through the door. Fact 3. Head east to Jacksonville, Florida, a metro of about 1 million that rarely gets mentioned in relocation talk, where rents fell 14% between mid-2023 and early 2025, with 2 bedrooms in neighborhoods like Mandarin and Southside running $1,400 to $1,600. For coastal Florida, that's quietly remarkable. Fact 4. Zoom out nationally, and the average one-bedroom rent slid to roughly $1,495 by early 2025, down from about $1,700 in mid-2022, a real correction, given rents had jumped some 26% in the 18 months before that. Fact 5. Back to specifics. Raleigh, North Carolina built so many apartments during the pandemic boom that its vacancy rate hit 12% by late 2024, when anything above 7 or 8 already counts as a renter's market. At 12, landlords are downright desperate. Downtown studios now go for $1,100 to $1,200, prices that feel plucked from another decade. Fact 6. Memphis, Tennessee skipped the coastal spike entirely, and now it's seeing something rarer still, rents flattening, even dipping, while home values soften right alongside them. Median home price around $140,000. You can rent a 2-bedroom house in the Germantown or Collierville suburbs for $1,200 a month, while you figure out whether buying makes sense. Fact 7. Salt Lake City, Utah was one of 2021's hottest markets as Californians flooded in, but the migration wave slowed and new supply caught up. One-bedroom rents have fallen back to around $1,350 from a high near $1,650. Fact 8. Denver, Colorado, the city that priced out its own residents during the pandemic years, is softening too. One-bedrooms in Denver proper now average around $1,650, down from peaks above $2,000. Go 20 minutes south to Aurora or Englewood, and you can shave off another $200 to $300. Fact 9. San Antonio, Texas is an underrated success story. A metro of nearly 2.7 million, with a stable, military-anchored economy, 2 bedrooms running $1,200 to $1,400 across large swaths of the city, and genuinely beautiful walkable pockets like the King William Historic District and the Pearl. Fact 10. Not far away, Louisville, Kentucky offers 1 bedrooms around $1,050 to $1,100, real bourbon and food culture on the Ohio River, and neighborhoods like Highlands and Germantown full of brick bungalows people pay triple for 2 hours away in Nashville. Fact 11. Zoom way out, and the Sunbelt's apartment boom between 2020 and 2024 was the largest in American history by percentage. Texas, Florida, Arizona, and the Carolinas added units at a pace unseen since the 1970s. And though the construction pipeline is only now starting to slow, the vacancy pressure will linger into 2026 and possibly beyond. Fact 12. Tucson, Arizona, 60 miles from the Mexican border, is a college and medical hub with 1 bedrooms averaging around $990. Stunning mountains plus University of Arizona energy that pure retirement towns just don't have. Fact 13. El Paso, Texas rarely makes relocation lists, which is exactly the point. Nation $900,000, 2 bedrooms under $1,000 in most zip codes, and crime stats that consistently rank it among the safer large American cities. It just gets overlooked for geography. Fact 14. Speaking of math, the rent versus buy calculation has flipped in dozens of markets. In cities where rent has fallen the most, the monthly payment on a median-priced home now often runs 40 to 60% higher than renting a comparable place, which is pushing more people toward long-term renting instead of buying, and that demand is itself keeping rents under pressure. Fact 15. Boise, Idaho crashed back down hard. The median home price fell from $550,000 in early 2022 to around $415,000 by 2025, and one-bedroom rent dropped from $1,500 to about $1,200 as the Californians kept coming, just not in the numbers everyone feared. Fact 16. Knoxville, Tennessee is an easy-to-miss relocation gem. A university town on the Tennessee River, no state income tax, 2 bedrooms at $1,100 to $1,400, and a median home price around $290,000. Fact 17. Widen the lens in the states with 2024's sharpest rent declines in order. Texas, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, and Utah are the exact same states that saw the biggest rent spikes from 2020 through 2022, proof that the markets which got hottest are now cooling fastest, a consistent pattern whenever oversupply chases a demand spike. Fact 18. Shreveport, Louisiana barely registers in housing conversations, yet this city of 185,000 on the Red River rents 2 bedrooms for around $750 to $850. Genuine challenges aside, one of the cheapest house rental markets of any American city its size. Fact 19. Columbus, Ohio pairs a diversified economy, state government, Ohio State, healthcare, logistics, with 1 bedrooms around $1,100 to $1,200 across a city of 900,000 that keeps getting skipped over, despite real neighborhoods and some of the Midwest's cheapest food and entertainment. Fact 20. Huntsville, Alabama is booming on NASA and Army aerospace contracts, yet supply has kept pace. 2 bedrooms in the Research Park corridor run about $1,200 with a median home price near $310,000. Strong fundamentals if you work in tech or engineering. Fact 21. Per Realtor.com data, the number of cities where rents are falling year over year has gone from fewer than 5 major metros in 2022 to over 50 markets by mid-2025, a seismic shift in the national housing conversation that's happened almost entirely without mainstream coverage. Fact 22. Take Wichita, Kansas. Aircraft manufacturing capital of the country, home to Cessna, Beechcraft, and Learjet, where 2 bedrooms rent for roughly $900 in a city of 400,000. It gets brutally cold, but survive January and your cost of living is among the lowest anywhere. Fact 23. Sunbelt-wide, the apartment vacancy rate rose from around 5% in early 2022 to nearly 11% by the end of 2024, a historic shift in negotiating power from landlord to renter, and it happened in less than 3 years. In individual buildings in cities like Nashville, Tampa, and Charlotte, the situation is even more pronounced. Fact 24. Tampa, Florida's median 1-bedroom fell from about $1,800 at peak to $1,450 by early 2025, as heavy construction and rising insurance costs pushed some landlords to sell rather than renew leases at lower rates. Good news if you're hunting a soft deal. Fact 25. Then there's Youngstown, Ohio, the former steel town whose population has fallen from 165,000 to around 60,000, but which still has real urban bones, and 2-bedroom houses with yards renting for as little as $600 to $700. Fact 26. Amarillo, Texas, out on the windy high plains of the Panhandle, rents 2 bedrooms for about $900 with a median home price near $190,000. Remote workers without coastal obligations can genuinely bank savings here. Fact 27. Not everywhere is softening though. Rents are still climbing mostly in the Northeast and Midwest. Buffalo, Milwaukee, Hartford, Providence, parts of Chicago, markets that never got the Sunbelt's construction wave. So if you're moving from one of these to a softening Sunbelt city, the gap will shock you. Fact 28. Oklahoma City is an underrated deal. 700,000 people, an NBA team, a revived Bricktown downtown, and 1 bedrooms around $950. You just have to make peace with genuinely violent tornado season. Fact 29. Further north, Rochester, New York, 200,000 people on the Great Lakes, Kodak's old campus reborn as a tech hub, a real Eastman School of Music scene, rents 1 bedrooms for around $1,000. It's brutally cold, but genuinely affordable in a region that rarely is. Fact 30. Behind all of this is one big number. According to property analytics firm RealPage, the number of new apartment units completed nationally in 2024 hit 570,000, the highest single-year total since 1974. That supply surge is what's driving the rent softening across the country. And with construction starts dropping sharply since interest rates rose in 2023, the pipeline will thin out by 2026 and 2027, meaning this renter's market window is time-limited. Fact 31. Charlotte, North Carolina's one-bedroom rent slid from about $1,700 to $1,400 after the metro added more than 20,000 units in 3 years. South End and Dilworth near the light rail still command a premium, but outer ring suburbs are where landlords negotiate. Fact 32. Dayton, Ohio might be this list's sleeper pick. 140,000 people, 2 bedrooms around $850, a real arts district, the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force nearby, and gorgeous Victorian houses you can buy for under $150,000. Fact 33. It's not just asking rents either. The shift in power toward tenants shows up in concessions too. Apartment List reported that in late 2024, roughly 35% of apartment listings nationally were offering some form of free rent gift cards or waived deposits to attract renters. And in markets like Austin and Phoenix, that number was closer to 50%. Fact 34. Albuquerque, New Mexico sits at 5,300 feet in the Rio Grande Valley beneath the Sandia Mountains, anchored by the University of New Mexico and Kirtland Air Force Base. With 1 bedrooms around $1,050, a steal next to pricier, smaller Santa Fe up the road. Fact 35. Fort Wayne, Indiana, often called Indiana's second city behind Indianapolis, rents 2 bedrooms for about $900 and keeps adding population while most small Midwest cities shrink, drawing remote workers chasing Midwest prices with actual momentum. Fact 36. There's a generational angle too, and it's striking. Millennials aged 35 to 44 are the largest cohort of renters in American history right now, and many who were priced out of homeownership during the 2020-2022 buying frenzy are choosing to rent strategically in softening markets, rather than chase homes at 7% interest rates. Fact 37. Out west, Spokane, Washington, on the state's dry side far from Seattle prices, has 1 bedrooms around $1,150 in a city of 230,000 with Gonzaga University energy and a real downtown, roughly half what Seattle costs. Fact 38. In Dallas-Fort Worth, the numbers are stark. The Metroplex added over 90,000 apartment units between 2022 and 2025, dropping effective rent more than 10% year-over-year in several submarkets. In Frisco, McKinney, and Denton, 2 bedrooms with amenity packages now run $1,500 to $1,800, down from $2,400 2 years ago. Fact 39. Fayetteville, Arkansas is an overlooked college town, home to the University of Arkansas and Walmart's headquarters, a thriving Dixon Street food and arts scene, 1 bedrooms around $900 to $1,000, and genuinely beautiful Ozark Hills all around. Fact 40. Back to the desert. Las Vegas, Nevada's 1-bedroom rent has eased from around $1,700 at peak to about $1,350, with 0 state or municipal income tax and nearly 1 million residents who never set foot in a casino. Fact 41. Midland, Texas, deep in the Permian Basin oil patch, isn't a typical relocation pick, but strong energy sector wages against median rents under $1,200 create a savings rate that's hard to match anywhere else. Fact 42. Peoria, Illinois is cultural shorthand for Midwestern unremarkable, yet it rents 2 bedrooms for about $800, with a median home price near $120,000, meaning you can buy a house there for what a used car costs in San Francisco. Fact 43. Worth remembering, that low rent window is temporary. Building permits in Texas, Florida, and Arizona dropped sharply in 2023 and 2024 as rates crushed developer economics. Today's new units all trace back to 2021 to 2022 groundbreakings, and analysts expect supply to tighten and rents to climb again by 2027. Fact 44. Chattanooga, Tennessee sits at the foot of Lookout Mountain, with the country's first municipal gigabit fiber network and 1 bedrooms around $1,100, 2 hours from both Atlanta and Nashville at a fraction of either city's cost. Fact 45. Detroit, Michigan is mid-revival. Midtown, Corktown, and Eastern Market are genuinely bouncing back, and a 1-bedroom runs around $1,100, which sounds high for Detroit until you see the renovated quality that price actually buys. Fact 46. Down on the Gulf, Corpus Christi, Texas, a city of 320,000 with 225 miles of coastline and a naval air station anchoring the economy, rents 2 bedrooms for around $1,050 to $1,200, as downtown revitalization spreads slowly outward from the American Bank Center. Fact 47. Zillow's observed rent index shows national rent growth hit zero in mid-2023 for the first time since 2010 and turned negative in plenty of markets, a slow-motion correction happening largely beneath mainstream financial coverage. Fact 48. Lubbock, Texas, flat and windswept on the South Plains, rents 2 bedrooms for under $900, with Texas Tech keeping the energy young and a cost of living index around 80% of the national average. Fact 49. Montgomery, Alabama, a state capital of about 200,000 with real cultural weight, the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, the Rosa Parks Museum, rents 2 bedrooms for around $850, anchored economically by state government and Maxwell Air Force Base. Fact 50. Which brings us to the single most important fact of all. The cheapest rental markets are almost never the ones getting written about. Miami, Denver, Nashville, and Scottsdale get the clicks precisely because their prices already rose to match the attention, while the real deals sit in overlooked second and third tier cities where the math still works. If one of these facts genuinely surprised you, drop it in the comments. Which city or which number hit different than you expected? And if you're researching a move right now, hit like and subscribe, because this channel is entirely focused on the kind of intel that doesn't make the front page, but might change where you end up living.